So, inflation is real. Who would have guessed? So yeah, here inflation is been a big problem for a very long time. I think I've talked about it before. But long story short, the value of our currency has dropped significantly throughout the last decade or two, and the drop off is just insane. And that's basically it. But in recent months, there was flooding because of course there was. This government can't handle shit, and the rain was very unseasonal and was very severe, which caused a lot of flooding. Who would have guessed? And due to the profuse amount of liquid, it was insane. Like a few times, very large amount of rain would hit here, like once or twice throughout the entire season, and it was like insane. It was hours of heavy rain, like no wind whatsoever, barely any wind, but the rain was heavy. Like that happens a few times, but not here. Here there was no flooding here where I live, but the actual flooding was in our lowest provinces, which were very susceptible to floods, and because they had a large river and caused it to be very susceptible, which had caused a lot of problems. Currently, it's not raining whatsoever. I mean, the rainy season has practically ended. And by the rainy season, I mean consecutive rain that lasts for months, like rain every day or every other day that lasts for months. And after the rainy season ended, basically no real repercussion hit us because our food supply is divided into sections basically. Like food comes from one province, then another, then another, then another, then another, and by the time it completes the loop, its harvest season has come for the first province, and then the loop continues. And if there's some difficulty in the middle of the loop or something goes awry, we can supplement our food supply from other countries nearby. But that hasn't been doing well because our country is has soured its relations with our neighbor, one of our neighbors, which was one of our food providers in these type situations, which helped the prices of food here to stay low, even if there's some sort of disaster happening somewhere else. But that now just can't happen. And since the crops have been decimated, the food supply has completely just poofed, and the prices along the way have increased severely. And so, what once cost maybe 60 bucks, maybe 70 bucks a kilo, which is honestly a lot from your perspective, but remember here, a dollar is worth 280 bucks, which is honestly a lot, but that's roughly the conversion. So keep that in mind. But remember, that's we don't deal in dollars. We deal in our currency, and our currency, it has its problems. But 70 bucks, it's a lot, but it's necessary. Like these are essential ingredients for any food, like any proper meal recipe, whatever you want to call it. And people here in the capital especially practically only eat proper meals that are homemade. And so one of these food products that would cost like 60 bucks is tomatoes. And now, after complete lack of tomatoes from the aforementioned provinces, the price has shot up to 500 bucks a kilo, which is roughly speaking 2.5 pounds. And it's a lot of that's a lot of money to pay for a kilo of essential ingredient basically, because nearly all our dishes need tomatoes to be made. And if you have tomatoes costing 500 bucks a kilo, I mean, they do not need a kilo of tomatoes. I know nobody using that much, but it increases the load on a family. And it's not only the price of tomatoes that has gone up, the price of grapes has become 1,000 bucks for a kilo of grapes, which is insane. And the price of sugar is 200 bucks a kilo, and actually from what I've heard it's climbing, so maybe 300, 400 bucks at this point. But it's insane. These are basically essentials, and the prices are skyrocketing. And even less essential things like pomegranates, the seasonal special, basically. Here, pomegranate season has started because early winter is pomegranate season. But these pieces of shit are being sold for 200 bucks, give or take, 250, 200 bucks. And literally almost all that I have opened either had insects in them, like proper insects. Like one of them I actually saw wiggling on top was centimeter too thick and maybe a 3 4 centimeters long. It was disgusting. And another that I opened just turned to dust. It just went. It's just insane. Like it literally turned to dust. I chopped it and it just that's insane. Like for God's sake, if this is supposed to be a juicy fruit. It should not be turning to dust when I chop it. And it didn't just happen once; it happened twice. And here, most of the fruit aren't centralized, as you might presume, considering that well, they had insects in them. As you might expect, they're not centralized. Our food, mainly fruits and vegetables, don't come from a centralized source or are not from companies. From farmers selling their produce directly to sellers, individuals who come here to where I live and set up shop to sell their fruit. And I mean, you could probably expect that there's no big company involved in the middle of this. I mean, maybe transportation or shit like that, but in broad strokes, there's no major company behind the fruit we eat. So the quality of the fruit is really determined by the eye that the buyer has, especially with fruits that you can't see the inside of, like with most fruits. That's all on you. You need to be keen enough to see through the flaws of a fruit just by a glance. And that's a skill that most of the buyers here possess. But nowadays, because of the rainy season, most of the fruits that you can't see the inside of, which are the majority of fruits, come with a bonus of protein in the form of insects, like mainly guavas and pomegranates. Like these are the main offenders because you can't see the inside of them, and because of the rainy season, and because they probably fell to the ground eventually, either fell to the ground if they have a dent or something like that on them, or just naturally got bugs on them. Who would have guessed? Disgusting little swines. And now it just decided the bugs decided to ruin my meal. Like I hate them. It's, ugh, disgusting. So yeah, the prices here it's been kind of weird, not weird, but kind of insane considering the prices of just food products. Like for example, I got a half liter or so of mayonnaise. I use a lot of mayonnaise in sandwiches and other stuff like that, and we ran out, and it cost me 380 bucks. Not liter, not even a liter, half a liter at most of mayonnaise, which is insane. And here just prices are rampant, and because of the flooding and the cutting of routes here, the prices have just skyrocketed. The flooding it's exacerbated a lot of problems because here you need a few essentials that are must for basically every family, and those essentials really only come from one or two places which have been struck with the floods hard, especially them tomatoes. Tomatoes are used in everything. These fruits aren't able to reach where I live, and so the prices of them have increased. And since they are essentials, everyone will buy them. So it's just basic demand and supply. And the supply is non existent effectively, which is caused most of the problems. But I hope in a few weeks the effects of flooding, because again this flooding happened 1 or 2 months ago, so it should be covered by now. But maybe for the next couple of months, the prices may stay the same or may actually increase. But eventually I hope the prices come back to normal, because it's not looking good. The prices of essential food items aren't good at all. And the tensions between our neighbors, I hope they get resolved, because if they get resolved, the fruit prices will drop, because this is only happening because the supply is so sparse. If the supply increases, the price also decreases, which is great for the consumer, aka us. Yeah, that's about it for me. Bye.